So we're here in Mostar, which is in Herzegovina, south of Bosnia. The country is Bosnia and Herzegovina, however you pronounce it. And they're basically the regions. North is Bosnia, south is the one that starts with H, which I keep mispronouncing. We took a train here this morning from 7 AM. It's a 2-hour train trip, maybe 3 hours actually, through these beautiful mountains with these rivers running through the whole way. It was an absolutely stunning train trip, and this is the town we ended up in for the day. But yeah, this is pretty famous for this bridge, which is a 20-meter high bridge. It was once the tallest bridge and longest bridge in Europe. And it was built by the Ottomans. It was the one bridge crossing this river. And the reason in 400 years of Ottoman reign, they only ever built one bridge. And then when the Austro-Hungarians came in, they actually constructed 4 bridges in a period of about 40 years, or 3 bridges in 40 years it was. There was pretty good reason for only having the one bridge, according to the Ottomans, was basically it was the one crossing point of the river for any traders or anything like that, which means that you can charge people, and with more than one bridge then the price can be lower. So they only ever had the one bridge, so that they could charge what they charged to get across. And then eventually, when the Austro-Hungarians were coming through, they actually stole the doors off this bridge, and it became free to cross it. The doors of the bridge they took because they had massive coins on them, and they're now stored in a museum in Vienna. But yeah, it's a beautiful town. It was also bombed and shelled in the siege of Sarajevo. And their war here, well, the siege was for 1 year. And then the Serb forces went elsewhere. But yeah, there's lots of, you can see the building destruction, and then basically because it's owned by the government, because it was a former communist country, so all those buildings that were bombed by the Serbs were government-owned buildings, so they're very slow to rebuild them because they basically pay the politicians a lot of money. And there's 3 presidents of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Herzegovina, exactly. There's 3 presidents of the country. There's something like 47 prime ministers. It's ridiculous, and the presidents get 30,000 euros per month each. So that's why there's a fair bit of corruption. But the people are lovely, and it's amazing that they've actually brought it back to this level, I think, since that war, or siege more so. But yeah, if you're ever in the area, stunning place. The blokes on the bridge, they'll jump off that bridge for you. They're cliff divers. What they do is they stand there and they'll collect, in summer, 30 euros of tips from tourists. Once they collect the 30 euros, they'll jump off. In winter, they'll do it for 50 euro. So it looks like there's a guy possibly about to jump, although he's been standing there for some time, so I might be wrong. He's doing his hair, he's checking his nails, checking the weather, making sure the conditions are perfect. He's turned around a bit, he's looking at the tourists, building the tension, and he's probably not going to jump, so I might. So this is part of the old town streets, very cobbly, with the picturesque hillside behind it. We're just on our way to find some plant-only food for ourselves, which I mentioned, I think, previously, but yeah, we've been eating a lot of potato burek, but there's a few plant-only restaurants that we've found that have been alright. Had an interesting one last night where it took 2.5 hours to get a soup on the table, and it was all run and owned by the one man. He was the owner, the cook, and the waiter, and the bill maker, and he was incredibly arrogant. His food was amazing, pretty good, but just ruined by his arrogance. And he makes the best soup in the world apparently, and also the best seitan recipe on the planet. It was just, yeah, unfortunately had to cop a negative review from me, but these things happen. So yeah, this is a bit more of tourist centre, and the bridge is just down there, which I'll show you later. Oh, hello everyone. I figured I'd just show you a little bit about Bosnian coffee. So it's pretty similar to Turkish coffee, except when they make it, they've got two pots, and in one pot you boil the water, and in the other pot they basically dry roast the coffee. So they just put it dry in the pot and then cook it a little bit, so it gets a very particular flavour. And it comes in this thing, and basically what you do is you pour it in there, like this. And if you're going to have it with sugar, they'll sit on this coffee. They have about 6 of these per day generally. And if you're going to have it with sugar, use a coffee sugar cube. And you dip it in, you buy the cube, and you drink the coffee. It's very aromatic coffee. It's quite like strong and pungent. But yeah, that's Bosnian coffee, different to Turkish coffee. Good, hey? So we're just heading down to the bridge to have a look over the bridge. Just had our plant-based feed. It's actually really good. A lot better than the place we went last night as far as service. Oh, and it's crowded. It's a pretty big tourist attraction, this bridge. To give you an idea, that's where we were standing before, in that one. Very cool. Just going to run up it quickly. More slowly. Great spot, doggy. Having a nap. And it's got these things on it because horses used to walk up it, so they didn't slip. It's actually quite slippery. There you go, there's a mosque. Beautiful surroundings here. There you go, top of the bridge. Down the other side, and that's back into town, back to the train station that way. And people jump off here. We're just down underneath the bridge now. So that's your longest bridge in Europe at one point in history. Pretty cool bridge. Bloke's gonna jump. Yeah, really cool place. Nice part of the world, the Balkans. Interesting history, mix of cultures. There's beautiful scenery, good weather in summer. Apparently it gets very windy here in winter, and they do get snow. The guide was telling us earlier the schools were closed for how long? 2 weeks because of a metre of snow in the town, which is a bit of snow that town level. Yeah, there you go, Mostar. So up there is where all the shelling and the siege was from, basically, up on that hill, all down at the town down here. And the result of it are some of these buildings that are still basically ruins. These are the ones I was talking about earlier that the government owns, but apparently don't have enough money to fix. If they were privately owned, they should be fixed up. This one's obviously been fixed up. The nice style there. And that one was a building that was finished literally, I think, a week before the war, the siege. It was all glass and it got all blown down. This was the first ever school in Bosnia, this place, actually. Not in Bosnia, in this town, in Mostar. And I'm about to take you to a pretty cool statue with a pretty funny story. Alright, so this is a central park in Mostar. Now there's three different, I guess, ethnic groups in Bosnia and Herzegovina. You've got the Bosniaks, which are the Muslim Bosnians. You've got the Croatian Bosnians and the Serbian Bosnians. Now they've all got a different president each, basically, so that's why there's so many members of parliament and presidents and prime ministers in this country. And basically they wanted to put up a statue of one of the presidents, but they couldn't decide who, due to the three different presidents. Like, they wanted to put up, you know, the Bosniak one, but the Serbs said no, we'd rather put up our own. So they decided to put up a statue of Bruce Lee instead, because nobody could decide. Bruce Lee was from Hong Kong. He died more than 30 years ago. It was none of those religions, and everybody likes Bruce Lee. So so there's a statue of Bruce Lee instead of one of the presidents, which I thought was pretty funny and pretty cool. That's how you get along. You put up a statue of Bruce Lee.